facilitators, Lynette, Karen, Karen, thank you so much for your time to do this. I will not take much of it. Thank you again for doing this. And VPEs, you are in great hands. All the best with the session this afternoon. Over to you.
Thank you. And let me hand over to Karen that will take us away for the day. Karen Levy-Strauss, our super trainer for today. Please, let's give her a warm welcome for being ready and prepared.
Thank you so much, Granny B, for this wonderful opportunity to just spend some time with our VPEs. Just a little bit about me is that I joined Toastmasters. I went to my first meeting in December 1999, and I joined in January 2000. And so I've been around for quite a long time. But my favorite role is the VPE role, because it really is an opportunity for you to help other people to leverage up their skills. And we're, after all, here to really make sure that our members are successful. And my task today is to start our journey and look at our members' needs and wants, and then how do we go about interviewing our members so that we deeply understand what they want to achieve in their Toastmasters year and why are they here. And I just want to also say, remember that our theme this year from the district is exceeding expectations, because every member matters. And so if every member matters, then surely the place to start is what is the road of success that we want to put our members onto. Little caveat here is that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. This was from Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland. And we want to help our members right at the beginning of the year understand where they are and what they want to achieve, because that's going to be the one thing that we're going to keep coming back to. When somebody pulls out of an assignment, the conversation will be, remember when we met early in the year, you said you wanted to get up to the end of level 2. I've noticed that you've cancelled on me 3 times in a row. Therefore, are you still serious about getting to that goal? Because if you keep bringing it back to the member and the members want, they will be far more committed than if you need to be dragging them along the way. The way I like to do this is I like to kind of go on a bit of a journey, especially because we're talking about pathways. And so the first thing we want to do with our members is to engage a tour guide for them. We want them to understand their pathway, their journey, and we want to help them to navigate that. Now, in some clubs, there's lots of members, and therefore we may want to divide up this communication in slightly smaller chunks. First of all, the first person that your member would have access to is to the Vice President Public Relations when they visit us as a guest. The conversation needs to start there. It needs to be welcome to our club. In some clubs, like for instance, Carpe Diem, they go, welcome to the best club in the world, where you will learn best class communication and leadership skills. So you sell the sizzle, as our past district director, Meryl Jabber, used to say. The next person that this member has access to is the Vice President membership, because the public relations person hands over to the membership person. The membership person gets them to sign their joining form, and we then start the journey with them to say, what is it that you want to know and be able to do as we go forward? The Vice President Education or the mentor would be the person that we would want to engage for our new member. In some clubs, it's easy because there's only a couple of members, up to 20, and then the Vice President Education or somebody who's really experienced would have a conversation with them. If we immediately assign a mentor, you can ask the mentor to start this conversation. I also recommend that you try to set up some kind of a buddy system where 2 people are at the same level. It creates a bit of friendly jostling as to who's going to get ahead of the other person in their assignments. And then, of course, the mentor is always a very important person, because the mentor is the person who's going to be encouraging in the background continuously. However, this overarching responsibility and accountability still lies with you as the Vice President Education. So the first thing we want to do is we want to really help our member identify what their specific needs and opportunities are. What are they interested in learning, and why are they interested in learning it? Is always a good place to start. Most people come for these reasons. First of all, they want to learn communication skills. So that's, they want to learn how to speak, they want to learn how to listen deeply, they want to learn how to do critical thinking, and they want to build confidence. That's generally the first reason why people join. Very few people realize the depth of knowledge that we have in terms of the leadership stream. So most people start off in the stream and quickly transition to the leadership stream. And the leadership stream in Toastmasters will teach our members about driving strategy, about leading successful teams, about inspiring and motivating people and performance, and about how to measure and reward success. And you will learn in your journey as a Vice President Education how to match people to what those needs are. In our program, we have 5 competencies which underpin every single thing we do in Toastmasters, and that's public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and then by osmosis, people learn confidence. And being able to then match the person is really where we want to go to from here. As a Vice President Education, it's hard to match the members' needs to anything if you don't understand what's on offer. And as a Vice President Education, you need to learn what the whole educational system consists of. We start out at the bottom, which is really about our first pathway, and there are 5 levels in each pathway. Level 1 is about mastering fundamentals. Level 2 is about learning your style. Level 3 is about increasing your knowledge. Level 4 is about building your skills. And level 5 is about demonstrating expertise. This is a self-study, learn by doing experiential journey. So as a Vice President Education, I always say to my members, you can't learn to do anything by sitting in the grandstands. In fact, one of our past district directors, Frank Sturo, always says, if you want to learn to swim, the first thing you need to do is dive in the water. And so it's important that your people understand that this is a fun and safe environment to learn. There is no right and wrong. It's let's just do it incrementally as we go along. And so we have our first pathway that we need to run through, and then we have our second pathway that we need to run to. For the first 3 months of this year, of this Toastmasters year, our educational team, led by Andrew Turo, our Program Quality Director, wants us to really focus on getting most people through the first 3 levels of this program, because there are many of our members who are not even yet registered on pathways. So we want you as Vice President Education to really focus on driving these first 3 levels and get our people off the starting blocks. So how do we do that? Well, we first of all need to understand, as I mentioned, that these are the 5 competencies. Then we need to understand that there are 11 pathways in our educational system, and that there's all the way through from dynamic leadership to engaging humor. On this particular little infographic, you'll see that there are numbers underneath each one of the titles or each pathway. You'll see under dynamic leadership, it talks about 1, 2, 3, 5. And yet, if you go across under persuasive influence, it says 1, 3, 2, 5. Now, that's not because they can't count. What that means is that in that particular pathway, That's the order that the skills or the competencies will be taught. So in dynamic leadership, they will first learn about public speaking, then they will learn about interpersonal communication. Thirdly, they'll learn about strategic leadership, and there's nothing in this pathway for management, number 4, but they will get confidence. In the persuasive influence module, they will learn public speaking, then they will learn strategic leadership, and then come back to interpersonal communications. No management in this path, and they will then learn confidence. So it's important when you're understanding what the person wants to learn, that you know which pathways will teach that. If this person wanted to learn about management, the only paths that are going to help them with that is effective coaching, innovative planning, and team collaboration. So any of the others are not going to help them with what they want to learn, and we want to channel them in the right direction. Now, yes, on the website, it does give a little test that people can work through, but sometimes our members feel very daunted. So how do we help them do that? Well, we start out by using this Toastmasters International form called the Member Interest Survey. And what you want to do is you want to set up a meeting with the tour guide and the member to identify what their needs are, what are they interested in learning, and then use this form to unpack for them what really is going to help them to move forward. We want to help them to focus on what are the competencies, which of the 5 competencies do they want to start with? Because they might want to start with management, they might not want to start with public speaking. We must be able to have the flexibility to help them with that. The second thing is that then you help them. Now, in some cases, what I've even done is I've sat with a member and I have got them to share their screen. Now that we're in a Zoom environment, share your screen with me, and then you as the member actually click through on the website and I guide, because if they do it, they're more likely to remember it. But then as I'm going along, just like I am with you now, I unpack for them what these pathways mean for them and how that will meet their needs. We then have a look, and we have another template where we then agree for the next 3 months, what will this member do? But if they're wanting to focus on speaking, and I generally say to them, if my club is meeting twice a month, I'll say, let's every second meeting do an assignment of some kind, and then a speech every second or third meeting. So you would do, I have to do my icebreaker, and then maybe the next time I would be the timekeeper, and then the time after that, maybe an ums counter, and then maybe another speech. And you plot it out according to your meetings, so that every member has we have a 3-month plan for the club, and we know exactly when every single member will be speaking and when every single member will be taking on an assignment. And the reason we want to do that is it's going to keep them on track. But also, if you as VPE do all of this planning up front, it makes your life easier, because you're then only dealing with exceptions where somebody has got ill and they can't attend, or they have a big work function and they need to change. Even then, I generally say to the member, please can you speak to your buddies or your friends in the club and find us a replacement. Otherwise, you're continuously chasing your tail to try and find what we need to do and how many people we need to speak at the next meeting. And then as soon as you haven't got fun and exciting and engaging and full meetings and one person's doing 7 things, when those things start to happen, your members start to lose interest, because if they're the ones that's doing everything, they're then starting to feel overwhelmed and they don't want to come anymore. And if they are not delivering, then they kind of go, well, why should I come anyway? So those are the big things that we need to think about. And then the last thing that I want to leave you with is that I generally also during this interview meeting, give them a copy of the Toastmasters promise and help them in that conversation to then understand the commitment that they as a member are making both to themselves and the club. Because if they don't arrive to deliver their speakers and they don't arrive to do their Toastmasters role, they're not only robbing themselves of an opportunity to learn, but they're also robbing the other people in the club an opportunity to learn from them, because our speeches always have such wonderful topics in them. And if they cancel at the last minute, they've robbed somebody of an opportunity to speak because that person wouldn't have had enough time to prepare. And so the Toastmasters promise for me really is what brings accountability for the member to themselves and the club. And that's where I'd like to leave it for today, because today was really about understanding our members' needs, matching those needs, and then trying to get commitment. And then Granny B has put together a phenomenal program where she's got Lynette Vermark, our district administrator, and myself contributing in with her to take you step by step through this process. So I'm going to unshare now, and I'm going to open the floor to some questions that you may have. So if you'll put your hand up if you have any questions, and then let's see where we go from here. Any comments? You can also type in the chat if you like, but put your hand up, let's have a look. And is the slide available somewhere? Yes, it is available somewhere. We will send you the links. Granny B has a phenomenal document that actually has step-by-step and a place where all the links are stored. So you will get access to that and you will be able to work with that completely.
If I may just quickly add there on that regarding that document, for those of you that attended the district training, about 2 days after the training, I sent everyone that was on the registration list we had an email, and that document was included in there. So please have a look at an email that came from me, and that document is included there. I will, however, also throw it into the chat box of the VPE group. And you will also know I've got a VPE Google Drive. And once we are finished with this, the recording will go on to the YouTube. There will be a link to it. Any documents or anything that we refer to or slides, etc., will all go into a folder so that every meeting, every training meeting we have, its documentation and items, resources that we refer to will be in the same folder marked with a day's date so that you can know what it's all about. And I see, was it Andile has a question for you.
Yes, I think I have a question. I did not attend the VPE district training. I just wanted to follow, like, just to understand if there's going to be any training soon or what must happen. Sorry.
Okay, Granny B, you happy for me to answer that?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so the district training that happened on Saturday was training that anybody across the district could be invited to. Also in the district, there are 11, is it Granny B? 11 divisions now?
I think it was 12.
Is it 12? Okay, there are 12 divisions now.
13.
Okay.
13, there you go. There are 13. You see, we moved quickly. There are 13 divisions, and all of those divisions will be putting out a training program for their club officers who were not able to attend last Saturday. So for the remainder of July and into early August, I think, there will be training available. Mostly it happens on Saturdays, although I do understand that they're trying to look at a during the week program for those corporate clubs. There will be further training available. Highly, highly recommend you attend. The trainers are very, very experienced trainers and can step you through this process. I hope that answered for you. Okay, Kagiso, you were next. Your question.
Thank you. I want to say to Granny B that I have attended the training last week, but I haven't received the email from her. And my question is, when it comes to approval of pathway completions, I received an email this morning about a member who has completed, and I went to approve. And then another member, not a new member, an existing member, SMS'd me that she had completed her pathway, and then I need to approve, but I have not received the email. So my question is, do I need to wait for another email from Toastmasters that I need to approve, or should I go to the members base camp projects? Please advise me there.
Okay, you would simply go into Basecamp and it will appear in your approved members in the list of where your members need to be approved. You can approve it there. If it's not appearing there, then there may be that member hasn't clicked all the way through in their Basecamp. So sometimes I also would then get on a call with them, ask them to share their screen and actually just then work through where they're at. Okay, Granny B will give a response about the emails maybe in the chat, because we have a few more questions. Let me take those. Okay, Valentine, you were next.
All right. I just wanted to ask about the level up challenge. So I see for members, they have to complete 2 pathway levels, and for VPE, you have to achieve at least 2 educational goals. So I just want to find out what's the difference in between the educational goals and 2 pathways for members and for the VPE.
Okay, so the member would be working on their pathway, and level 1, there are a few speeches that they need to do. They need to do an icebreaker, they need to do a speech, then they need to do that speech again to get feedback. They need to evaluate somebody, and then they need to do a research speech. That would get them to the end of level 1. Okay. Then they would need to go on to level 2, which there are 3 assignments in there. There's one about what's my leadership style. There's one about what's my communication style. And there's one about my mentoring style. And in one of these sessions along the line, we will give you an educational on what each of those different levels need. Once the member has finished both of those, so all those speeches and assignments, they then will qualify towards the level up challenge, and you need to get 2 members to do that. From a VPE point of view, every time somebody signs off any educational, so it doesn't have to be a level 1, it could be like, for instance, I'm sitting on a level 5 at the moment, so when I sign off my level 5, it would also count towards the level up challenge. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, super. Okay, Nontokozo,
Sorry, if I may just...
Yes,
add
good
that.
day.
Okay, hang on a moment, Nontokozo. Granny B wanted to add something.
I just want to add that, you know, it's very difficult with us not meeting face to face, and a way in which we can ensure that that members are doing their pathways well is I recommend every member to buy a 30-page flip file, so that when they have done their assignments, they can put their speech on the left-hand side and they can put the evaluation on the right-hand side. And whenever they need to attend a meeting, they just look for that one file. And the reason why we do this is because we find that there are evaluation forms flying all over the show. And when it comes time for a VPE to approve a level, it's difficult for them because remember, as VPEs, we need to show integrity. So it's difficult to show integrity if those people have lost their evaluation forms and it is just a mess. So by asking every member to buy their 30-page flip file, a 30-page flip file contains enough sheets for one pathway. I've completed 4 pathways. I have 4 flip files. Everything is nicely together. That means that member can just take photos of those, or if they receive them electronically, they can just forward them at the same time to the VPE. Once the VPE receives that notice from the Toastmasters email, they can just say to them, thank you, would you just forward me those screenshots or whatever you have that I can see the evaluations? Because you need to make sure very often the first level where the second project needs 3 evaluation forms. Very often, they only have 1 evaluation form for it because they didn't understand the project clearly. And by them sending you the evaluation forms, you get to make sure they have actually completed the project correctly. So I just want to encourage you to do that. And then once you've looked at it, then you know you can have the integrity to go and click that, yes, you approve it, and you can upload it to Club Central as needed. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Granny B. You're absolutely right. As VPEs, we should never just be approving, we should be taking. Nontokozo, you had a question.
Thank you very much for that. Actually, Granny B just addressed what my question I have is because I also received something from Basecamp that I need to approve, but in my instant, I wasn't sure whether to approve or not, and what is it that we can use to track and make sure that we actually approving something that was actually done. So Granny B just answered that question. And then another question I have with regards to the Level Up Challenge. So the VPE needs to do 2 educational. Do we also qualify as individuals? Because I understand that we are individuals as we are VPEs as well.
I'm sure that it would count, but I'm not 100% on top of what criteria is for that Level Up Challenge. We may need to get somebody to come and speak to us. Granny B, unless you know off the top of your head, are you involved in the detail of the Level Up Challenge?
No, but what we can do is we can ask Kiamo, she's on the group, to clarify that. I don't know whether she's at the training here, but I know she's on the VPE group, and we can ask her to give us more clarity on that for everybody's sake. It's a very good question. Thank you.
It's a great question. Oh, there she is. Yamu, come on screen.
Ah, there we go.
Hi, I'm sitting in the car. I was driving, just listening in. I'm very happy that people are quite excited about the Level Up Challenge. So yes, Ntokozo, you will qualify as a member and as a VPE. So you qualify as a member when you achieve your own award, you level up, and also when you have submitted those 2 educational goals as a VPE. Every member matters, so every member will be recognized.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Then I wanted clarity on that.
Okay, so just remember that the educational goals, and it's also one of the topics that Granny B's got on her list, is that your first educational award is for level 1s. So as the Exco, you're driving those 10 goals. The first goal is you need 4 people to finish their level 1. And then you need 2 people to finish a level 2 if you're starting at the bottom. So you will need, whatever those goals are, you will need to make sure that you get those. And Ntokozo, are you comfortable that we've answered your question? If you are, you can put your hand down.
Okay, and then if she is fine, I just want to say in the chat box there is a question, but before I reach out to that, I just want to say that we have made these half-an-hour sessions so that it's not too much for people. That means we're almost running out of time. Although we made a presentation focused on the subject that we spoke about, but you will realize that there were many questions here that were outside of the topic, and yet we answered them because we want you to be able to have a place where you can receive your answers. So I just quickly want to read, it's from Nosipo. She says, what is the best way of approaching these one-on-one meetings? Send out a Zoom meeting request or how? I'm struggling to get members to commit to a time. I avail myself for a call and there's always something or other coming up when it's time to sit down. I so associate with you, Yes, Karen, what would your suggestion be?
Hmm. So I have two suggestions. My first suggestion is work with those people who have the energy, because they're the people who want to grow, and they're the people who are going to always be stepping up and taking ownership of their own learning. That's the very first tip that I've always learned. The second thing is that I also give people an opportunity. I've set up now for my own club, I've set up 2 meetings, one on Monday at lunchtime and another one later in next week at lunchtime, where I'm going to take them through the basics of how to get onto pathways, how to select pathway, and then to talk them through what I've just talked you through, which is can you complete the member interest form while you're in the meeting, and then email it to me straight away afterwards, and get them to then help themselves. So I do the group things. And then for those that are really interested, I then do an individual one with them to help them to link it more profoundly to what they want to learn and grow in. Granny B, that's what I would suggest. I'm not sure where you would come, or from Lynette's perspective, considering that we're now 1 minute over.
Yes, I would like to say that was a brilliant suggestion as well. One of the other things that I also do is I've taken that member survey form and I've created a Google form with that, and it's also on the links of that page that I will send out to you, that you guys can just copy that Google form and recreate it. And I do that because it makes it nice for me to read everybody's response. Then I know, oh, so many people in the club need this. And it's nice to group them and deal with that if needs be. And I like to send that out actually ahead of the meeting, so that once we get to the meeting together, then I go through it with them. And sometimes they change their mind on something because then they understand something better. And it also then helps to talk quite fast through it. It makes the meeting a bit shorter. There's another question here from Philippa. She said, my question is on those members who seem to always need prodding to do anything. How much is acceptable pressure, and what becomes borderline aggressive manipulation? Well, that is an excellent question. I'm going to leave it to you to answer, Karen.
I think the key to that question, Granny B, is how well do you know your member?
Yeah.
And have you built a relationship with that member? If this is a member that you know always delivers, then maybe you take a little bit of the pressure off because they just need a bit of space. But most of us do need a little bit of prodding and pushing. So generally I would push until the person actually pushes back. And when the person pushes back or stops coming, I try not to get to that level. But if the person stops coming, then that's also giving you a message. Then you maybe need to have a gentle call with them to say, listen, I may have pushed you too hard. How do we actually agree together? But always come back to what was their original goal, because you then have the conversation. You said at the beginning of the year, this was your goal. You wanted to finish to the end of level 2. I noticed that you're actually under a bit of pressure at the moment. Shall we go back? Do you still want to achieve level 2? If so, how do we make that happen? If not, because you got pregnant or you went on maternity leave or you changed jobs or whatever it might be, let's renegotiate your goal. It must always be the member and what the member wants. Okay.
Exactly. Before I read the next one, I also just want to add here, I normally talk about creating a culture of care.
Yeah.
You know, when people feel cared for, they will share their difficulties easier. If somebody is battling, they're not going to tell you easily their battles. They'll just retract and be quiet. And so when you can reach out to them and they can feel the care from you, if you as a VPE can learn how to be caring, it will work for you in your business life. It will work for you in every environment you are. Because when people feel cared for, that's when people are more easier to open up and to reach out and to engage with you. So I think it's really important to learn how to be able to be caring. That is just how I see things from my side. Okay, let's just go on to the next one. not all my club officers attended COT. When will we record in Club Central? I'll just answer that quickly and say, remember, there will be division organized trainings, COT trainings taking place. Just watch out for them. There's several of them coming up. There should be enough time. You do not have to train in your own district only. If the time doesn't suit, you can just go where you find an open space and get them to get going into every opportunity that's there. And I need help on approaching the educational sessions. How best do I get the appropriate educational goals for my club? Okay, that's quite a lengthy answer. Well, not lengthy answer, but involved answer. Before I let you answer that, I would just like to say we are over the time of this meeting. So if you need to drop off, you're welcome. I will still carry on recording. Those of you that are still happy to be here, that's fine. We'll answer the question. And then I think we're probably ready to wrap up as soon after that as possible. And the moment the recording is ready, I will put it online so that you can pick up anything that you might have left. Karen, do I need to read that question to you again quickly?
I can see it, Granny B, so that's fine. Okay, so I need help in approaching the educational session. So I need to understand in this particular case, is this the education system where you're wanting them to do level 1, level 2, level 3? Or is this the educational session where you invite an experienced Toastmaster in to come and deliver a session on how to write a speech, how to deliver, evaluate to motivate, how to run a quality club? I just need to understand what you mean by educational session.
And while you get a response from that, I see Velita has her hand up.
Okay, so if the person that posed the question in the chat will just come on screen, then we can you can ask. And in the meantime, I'll do Valencia. What is your question?
Hi, good day to everyone. Mine is a simple one. I seem to have missed probably the, I don't know what group has been created for the VPEs, because I didn't actually get this link. So my concern is I might be missing out important events as a VPE because I do not think I belong to this group where the link was shared. So kindly ask me if I may be added.
Okay, Granny B, will you post the link maybe in the chat? Can they link off of here? Or?
Yes, I'm going to quickly get it and bring it in here.
Fantastic, thank you. Lesego, you had a question?
Yes, thank you very much for taking my hand. Question, are we able to do another example of when somebody wants us to activate the completion task in terms of, because I remember last week, Saturday, there was a saving mechanism that they did on the side, but I just can't recall. Are we able to do another Zoom session, like a mock example, where somebody needs to activate the completion and then we save the evaluation form, or how do we go about doing that once again, if you don't mind? Because somebody just sent me now for approval of the level 3, but then I haven't received the evaluation form and I can't find it on the system on Basecamp. So I don't know where to find this evaluation form, or do we get it from the member themselves or the evaluator, or where do we get all this information? Thank you.
Okay, Lesego, I would make it your members' responsibility to get you the evaluation form, because some clubs are doing evaluations online where the evaluator goes on and captures the evaluation. But if it's not somebody from your own club, say I've gone to somebody else's club and I've delivered a speech, then they give me a manual, a paper evaluation, or they type the evaluation into a PDF document and email it to me. And then if you're running around trying to get your members to give you all that stuff, then you're always going to be running around. Make it your members' responsibility and tell your members up front, you're not signing something off on Basecamp until they send you a photo or the PDF version from the evaluator to confirm that they delivered the assignment. And then Granny B has wonderful videos on her Google Drive on how members can actually click through all the way to the end and do the completion on their side. So if your members are struggling with that, Granny B has wonderful material on her website that can help with that. Granny B, that's right, eh?
That's right.
Thank you very much.
I will quickly add my website there. On my website, there's a Toastmasters section, especially made out for the new members, where it starts off by just basically learning how to log into Toastmasters. And if you use Easy Speak to also bring Easy Speak in, and it takes you further and further and further. They are relatively short videos, and it's like a blog where there's even screenshots on, etc. I will give you the details of that. Thank you.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we should start wrapping up now. We're going to have these every Friday so that you can get step by step information about exactly how to do this. The last and final thing that I want to share with you is an infographic which Granny B can also put up on her website. And I use this as a VPE all the time to really guide what needs to happen. It's a little infographic, and it actually then sets your club up for success. So you start out as a club exco and you look at your program and your club insights. You then have your member insights, the interviewing the member, which is the piece we did today. There's a whole section for the VPE on how to plan and manage and schedule your meetings. There's a piece around running and having fun and exciting meetings and educational meetings. And then there's a whole piece around reward and recognition. So this infographic in one page tells you exactly what the whole of your club is responsible for and how you pull that together. So I will add it to Granny B's resources, and you will then have access to this so that you know and you're able to drive this from a holistic point of view. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my assignment. So I yield control back to Granny B to close off.
Thank you very much, Karen. Appreciate all the preparations you put into it and everything you have done for us today. And please note, VPEs, we are there to help each other, to hold each other's hand, and to be able to shine. It is a lot of work, but there is such a reward because you get to learn so much and you get to be able to transfer amazing skills into your workplace as a result. So please, let's keep the channels open. Let's keep on learning. Wishing you a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Granny B, do
Everyone.
you wanna stop recording?
Oh, true. That's a good one.